So first thing is to start with the Bitcoins. So what is a Bitcoin? So the Bitcoin is like just like any other transaction currency that you would use. Let's say American dollars, Australian dollars, Indian rupees, doesn't matter which currency you use. It's something similar to it. It's just another set of currency. And then how it is different from regular currencies. So regular currencies, the governments have control over how much it has to be in the market. So every year the government controls, I mean, like they print these notes, the currency notes, and so these currency notes, they can print it how much ever they want it. So that means there is no limited supply of these currencies. So that is why these currencies is not going to have ever increasing values. So it's all depends on how the market reacts and a lot of these parameters. So now with Bitcoin, it's different. So first of all, these coins have a limited supply. So that means the total of 21 million of these bitcoins can only be ever mined. So yes, this is another word. So typically coins and notes coming from governments that you have, and the coins are minted and then the notes are printed. Whereas with bitcoins, these are mined. So what happens is the bitcoins are like, you can imagine like a mine, and the miners are actually computers, people with computers. They actually process these transactions. So every time there is a transaction that comes through, so these miners process it to verify the transaction is correct. So they use algorithms to do it, and every time they verify these transactions and things like that, so they get a commission. So that commission is what they earn as a bitcoin. So every hour, so there is some bitcoins that get newly mined, because of these miners, and then they go into the market. So these miners are pretty much like, say, sometimes a lot of rigged robots. There will be like mining farms that you can find as well. So China, Thailand, a lot of countries, they North Korea especially. So most of the countries which has got issues with the government sanctions, I mean international sanctions, and a lot of these things where they have limited access to the international market, so they tend to boost their economy using bitcoins. So mining of bitcoins, it's like a huge form of computers, and then they run with specialized algorithms, and they act as a miner, and they go and process these transactions and earn bitcoins in that process. So some of these mining centers, they earn around 70 to 80,000 dollars a day, and so there is a lot of outgoings as well. So it's not free if you look at it. So it's like a huge place, and electricity alone runs for it's pretty expensive to run it. So the margins are not that great these days, because what happens is as the day grows, so the mining gets more and more complex. So you need more powerful GPUs, the graphic cards, and more powerful machines to mine new bitcoins and things like that. So anyway, so let's get into what is a bitcoin. So typically, regular currency, let's say if I transfer someone $100, so that transaction goes to that person, and I can give them as a note, or I can transfer as electronic fund. So if I transfer as an electronic fund, sometimes if I actually transfer it, let's say incorrectly to someone, I can go to the bank and say, yes, I did a mistake. Could you actually reverse the transaction? So if the transaction has not been fully completed, then we have an option to reverse it. If it is done, then the bank try to negotiate or talk, or you talk to the, and it's got a process. It's got an intermediary. Whereas with bitcoins, there is no going back. So that means when you start processing, so it takes, let's say, an hour or something like that to process the entire transaction, to go into the recipient's account, and once it's gone through, so there is no intermediary to reverse the fund. So you cannot reverse it. The transaction once done is done. So which also avoids the duplicacy of or multi transfers of these electronic currencies. So how some of these transactions work compared to fiat currencies, which is like Indian rupees and American dollars and Australian dollars, is like, so you got a wallet. So every Bitcoin owner will have a wallet. So it's just like your regular wallet where you put your coins in, and so when you want to transfer it to someone else, you need to get their ID, and then you transfer some Bitcoins to them. And when you transfer some of these bitcoins, so the transaction takes place and the miner comes and approves the transaction. So what happens is, so this runs on a technology called blockchain. So we will have a separate chapter going through the blockchain basics. So the blockchain basically has a ledger, so just like your bank, which maintains all the transaction details. So it has got a ledger, and these ledgers doesn't sit in one particular machine. This is not, let's say, centralized. This is decentralized. That means these ledgers, like a copy of these ledgers, spread around in multiple locations. That means you cannot go and point to one particular location, say, okay, there is my ledger. So you cannot say that. Your copy could be in multiple machines, multiple locations. So the chances of people mimicking it, chances of people creating a duplicacy of these ones is very slim. I mean, like, it's impossible. And what happens is it actually have track of every transaction that has happened before. And so if you try to create a duplicate transaction, the miner will automatically check which is a legitimate one, like the complete chain of the transaction. And then if your transaction found to be fake, or if it's not matching with the original signatures, it will actually reject it. So the miners would reject it. So it's a decentralized approach. And so another thing about the bitcoins is like immutability. So the bitcoin transaction cannot be reversed. So that is what I said. Like, say, when you transfer it to someone, you cannot reverse it back again. And divisibility, the smallest unit of a bitcoin is called satoshi. So Satoshi Nakamoto is the founder of the bitcoin. So he's actually a pseudonym, so it's not his real name. And that is what we're going to talk about in the reveal portion. So that is actually the smallest divisible of the bitcoin. And alright, thanks for watching, guys. So we will do a few more videos going through some of the blockchain technologies and currencies out there, and some latest news as well. And keep watching for our reveal videos. So we have already done one part of it. The second part will have a bit more details about the founder of Bitcoin. So that would come to a wrap for today. And if you have any questions, drop in and subscribe to the channel. Thanks, guys. Also, this is our Crypto Navigator free app. You can use this to watch all the latest price of all the cryptocurrencies, not just Bitcoins, literally hundreds of get Bitcoin-like currencies. So this is free. You can download it from Apple App Store and Google Play Store. And if you need any other features, just throw it at us and we'll build it.